So today we're going to talk about joy in the Christian's life. Sometimes we may wonder where joy is in the Christian's life. There are times when it seems to be MIA, missing in action. So we'll talk about what we can do to cultivate more joy in our lives. And there are two different kinds of joy. The first kind of joy is what scientists refer to as euphoria, endorphins, and chemicals produced in the reward center of the brain. It's actually very fascinating. This kind of joy is experienced by doing things like going to the movie theater, going on carnival rides, a trip to the beach, a concert. Ladies love to go out and get their new hairstyles, shop for new outfits, and, of course, shoes to match. Men love to go hunting and fishing. So these are all fun things to do that bring us a degree of joy, microbursts of joy, if you will. They're actually short-lived, but they do offer a brief escape from our daily routines and can serve to alleviate some stress. But then there are times we can do all these favorite things and not seem to experience any joy. Have you ever been there? When nothing seems to satisfy? What is up with that? Well, I submit to you that it usually means you're running critically low on a different kind of joy. And the joy I refer to now is called the joy of the Lord. This is a different kind of joy, one that we feel down in our spirits. There's an emptiness we experience sometimes that can only be filled by God. I've heard theologians talk about this before. They talk about an emptiness that was intentionally put there by our Creator, designed to make us long for fellowship with Him. And He fills us up, like the rivers of living water spoken of in John 7:36. He that believeth on me, as the Scripture hath said, out of his belly shall flow rivers of living water. But this spake he of the Spirit, which they that believe on him should receive. So as believers, we have a way to tap into this joy of the Lord and get it down into our spirits. This is done by linking up to God's presence. And we can do that in several ways. We link up to God's presence through prayer, through praise and worship, and of course, by reading and meditating on His Word. Nehemiah 8:10 says, "The joy of the Lord is our strength." So if the joy of the Lord is our strength, what do you suppose happens when we don't have the joy of the Lord? Well, the opposite of strength. We become weak in our spirits, incrementally more each day. And this can start to affect us even physiologically. Depression can even set in, and we might start feeling like we can't cope, all due to a severe neglect of fellowshipping with God by linking up to His presence. Proverbs 18:4 says, "A man's spirit can even help him cope with sickness, but a broken spirit, who can survive?" So we've got to keep it renewed. It reminds me of the movie Iron Man. There's actually a parallel there. He always had to be careful with this thing he called the arc reactor. It was a big, glowing power pill he had in his chest. It was the source of all his strength. Of course, he had the armored suit with the rocket pack and onboard missile system, and that helmet with the infrared vision and everything else. But once that arc reactor started getting low or damaged, all of his systems began shutting down. Even his life functions were at risk. And he knew he needed to get back home quickly and charge that thing back up. So here's a fun question for everyone who's seen the movie. What do you think Iron Man considered to be the most important thing in his life? Was it his multi-billion-dollar business, the Tony Stark Industries? Was it his muscle car collection, all those Ferraris and Lamborghinis? Maybe it was his Malibu beach house, all the Iron Man suits? Or was it the arc reactor, the thing he knew was keeping him alive? Well, logic dictates that it's the arc reactor. And so it is that the joy of the Lord, just like the arc reactor, is very important in the life of the Christian. It must be maintained. Now, the joy of the Lord is also listed as one of the fruits of the Spirit in Galatians 5:22 and 23.